loves, in this video I will be doing a tutorial on my Blaze Crochet Bikini Set. It consists of 3 pieces: a mesh cover up, a bikini top, and a matching bikini bottom. So I'll be using a medium weight yarn. In this case it's Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo in bright yellow, a 4.5 millimeter hook. You can use a 4 or 5 millimeter hook also, some measuring tape, and a pair of scissors. Let's go. We're gonna start with the mesh cover up top. I will be making a size large for a lovely customer of mine, but no worries, I'll be teaching you guys how to make it from extra small to extra large. And the wonderful thing about it is that the same procedure for large covers an extra large, and the same procedure for small covers from extra small to medium. So let's start. I'm going to chain 22. I'm doing a large, I'm chaining 22 to start. I'm going to put the amount of chains for extra small to medium on the screen. Now that I have my 22 chains, I will be marking it with a hairpin. Yes, a hairpin. I can't seem to find any of my markers, so this will have to do. I'm gonna stick it in the 22nd chain. Yeah, right there. Good. I'll be moving on to chain another 65 after I've marked my 22nd chain. If you're doing a small, medium, extra small, then you will chain 59. After chaining my 65, or if you have chained 59, we're going to mark it again. We're going to put a hairpin or a marker in the 65th or the 59th chain. I am then going to chain another 22, just like I did in the beginning. If you're doing a smaller size, then you would chain 19. And voila, we have chained the entire length of our mesh cover up. So we're looking at 3 sections right now. The left is from the arm to the back, or the back to the arm. The center is from the arm to the chest to the arm, and the right is from the arm to the back. So we're going to move on and do our first row, which is our border. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and do a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. We're going to do another half double crochet into the following chain. We're going to keep doing half double crochets. Well, I'm going to stop at 18. If you're doing a smaller size, then you would stop at 15 half double crochets. I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see it. So I've just finished up my 18 half double crochets with 4 chains left to spare. If you did a smaller size, then you would have done 15 half double crochets with 4 chains left to spare. Now we're finished a side of the back, and we're going to move into our armhole. We will be doing a single crochet in each of these 4 chains, and it will lead us right to the hairpin. We're gonna move into the middle section. This represents arm to arm, chest, arm. So we're gonna remove that hairpin And then we're gonna do 4 more single crochets in each chain. So a single crochet in the next 4 chains. In total you should have 8 single crochet. After we've done our 8 single crochets, we're going to move on to doing half double crochet in the next 57 chain. If you're doing a large to extra large, the smaller size, you do it in the next 51 chain. So I've done my 57 half double crochets, and I'm going to move on into my single crochet. I am going to do a single crochet into the next 4 chains. When I'm at the hairpin, I'm gonna do another single crochet into the next 4 chains. So I should have 8 single crochets in total. I'm gonna go back into my half double crochet. I'm doing 80 just like how I started. I'm gonna finish it off smaller size 15. And we have completed the first row, aka the border. We're gonna move on to mesh work. So let's move on to our second row, which is our first row of mesh. We're gonna chain 5, turn our work, and do a double crochet into the third chain. So we're gonna count 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do a double crochet right there. We're gonna chain 2, and then we're going to do another double crochet into the third stitch. Count 3 and do double crochet. We're going to chain another 2, do another double crochet into the third stitch. Chain 2, double crochet, third stitch, chain 2, double crochet, third stitch, and the last one, chain 2, or the last one of the row, chain 2, double crochet into that third stitch. Alright, let's move on to the second row of mesh. We are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to turn our work and do a double crochet into the second stitch, or the second double crochet stitch. We're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, and then we are going to chain 2 and do a double crochet into the third chain. Great, now let's move on to the third row. We're going to chain 5 again. We're going to do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch, chain 2, repeat that step, following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So we're going to repeat this step until we have 10 rows of mesh. And that's a wrap. With that, we now have 10 rows of mesh. So we have completed one back side. We're going to chain 1, tighten it. That's how I secure my ends, and we're going to snip snip. I'm going to move on over to the other back side. And so with back side. Anyways, we're going to repeat the steps that we did on the first back side. We're going to insert our hook into the first double crochet stitch. We're going to pull through the yarn and we're going to chain up 5 chains. We're then going to do a double crochet stitch into the third half double crochet stitch. So 1 2 3 count, and we're going to do the double crochet stitch right there. We're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the third half double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the next third half double crochet stitch, chain 2, count 3, do a double crochet into the next half double crochet stitch. Repeat that step until we have gotten to the end of the double crochet. Wait, now I'm gonna go to the second row of mesh. Gotta check to make sure that they're both equal. You know, we don't want one more and one less. Let's continue. We're gonna chain up 5, turn our work, do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, and then do a double crochet stitch into the third chain. And that completes our second row. We're going to continue until we have 10 rows, just like we did on the first back side. In 1, tighten it and make a snip snip again. So we've completed 2 of the back side. Now we're going to work on the center. So that's where we're going to go next. So working in the middle, we're going to start in the first half double crochet stitch, which is also the 9th stitch when we start counting from the single crochet stitches that we did. So you're going to start in the first half double crochet stitch and we're going to chain 9. Then we're going to do a half double crochet into the third stitch. We start counting from the first half double crochet. 1 2 3, double crochet into the third stitch. So we're going to chain 2. We're going to count 1 2 3 spaces or chains or half double crochet. Count 1 2 3, chain 2, count 1 2 3, then we put our double crochet in that third stitch, chain 2, count 1 2 3, put our double crochet in that third stitch, chain 2, count 1 2 3, put that double crochet in the same stitch, chain 2, count 1 2 3, put that double crochet in the same stitch. Oh my gosh, this could be a song, it's so repetitive. We're going to continue that all the way across. So our mesh work should cover all our half double crochet stitches. There should be no half double crochet stitches left out. Alright, so let's move on to the second row of mesh in the center. So we're going to repeat basically what we did for the two back sides. So we're basically gonna chain up 5, and we're gonna continue this until we have 7 rows. So we're gonna chain 5, turn our work, and do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following stitch, and we're gonna run that right until the end, right until we got 7 rows, and we're gonna meet up back. Okay, honey? Now that we have our 7 rows of mesh, we're going to move on into the following 3 rows, which will be from the neck to the shoulder. So we're going to chain 5, turn our work around, do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch. We're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, and we're going to chain 2 more, do a double crochet into the next double crochet stitch. Now that we have 6 box 6 spaces, we are just going to do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. We are not going to chain 2, so we're going to start decreasing. We're going to decrease our row. We're basically creating the neckline. So let's chain another 5 and turn our work around. We are going to do a double crochet into the third double crochet stitch. You're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the third chain. And now we are at our 9th row. We have 1 more row to go, and we will repeat the step that we just did. And let's go. Chain 5, we're going to double crochet into the second stitch, I'm going to chain 2, double crochet into the following stitch, and we're going to run that right till the finish. Alright, now we are finished with one side. So our next move is to join, but before we do that, we're just going to check to make sure that everything is equal, that we have 6 spaces or 5 spaces. If you did a smaller size, it will be 5 spaces and it should be 10 rows. We're just going to double check to make sure that everything's good. You're going to lay your project with the right side facing up. So you're going to take that left side and join it with the left side of the center piece or the middle piece. We are going to join the top so this blouse can come together as one. What we're going to do is single crochet each side together. I'm going to switch out to a smaller hook, basically a 3.5 millimeter hook, so it can go through the stitches and the chains more efficiently. Since the hook is a bit smaller, my work will be a bit neater. I'm going to take my hook and put it through the first stitch. I'm going to pull my loop through that first stitch, and then I'm going to make a slip stitch. I'm going to go back through that stitch and go through the other stitch, that is the other stitch on the middle piece, and do a single crochet. So we're basically sewing them together using single crochet and a hook instead of using a darning needle. I would prefer it that way because it just leaves me with less thread to snip off when I'm finished. So it's just one run across. Just make sure that all your stitches are lined up, so when you push the hook through one and go through another, it's the same on both sides. Okay, so we're going to ensure that's the case going all the way across. As we make our way down to the end, we are going to ensure that our hook goes through the third chain on each side, on both sides at the end. So ensure that you count 1 2 3, put your hook there on one side, count 1 2 3 on the other side, push your hook through that third chain, do a single crochet, and then fasten it off. What I'm doing now is doing a little weaving in of the ends. We're gonna conceal down here so we don't see those strings. Alright, so we have completed one arm, one side, left side. Now we're gonna move over to the right side and we're gonna do the same thing. So let's go. We're gonna put a hook in the third chain. We're gonna oh my god. Right. We're gonna pull our yarn through and chain up 5. We're gonna do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2. I'm gonna keep going until we have 6 blocks or 6 mesh. Let's call them 6 mesh blocks. Right. And if you're doing a smaller size, it should be 5 mesh blocks. So we're not going to chain 2, we're just going to do a straight double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Now let's go up to the next row. We're going to chain 5 and do a double crochet into the third stitch, just like what we did on the other side. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following stitch, and we're gonna go all the way across to the end of the row, honey. Alright, last row, we're gonna chain up 5, turn our work, do a double crochet into the second double crochet stitch, and we're gonna make our way across. Alright, so we meet again, we're ready to join. We are going to do the same thing we did on the left side. We're going to join the right side just like how we joined the left side. We're going to size down our hook and get to business. I'm going to turn my work around and start the joining process. You know what to do, honey. Meet me at the end of the row. And that is a wrap. We are gonna weave in those ends. Don't want nobody see them. And that's that. So we're gonna move on to the arm sleeves next. Woo. Alright, let's make some sleeves. We are going all the way up to our joint. That's where the two shoulder pieces were crocheted together, and we are going to start in the first row from the join, and that would be on the right side. We're going to place our hook into that corner stitch, and we are going to chain 2. We then do a double crochet into the stitch on the right side of the joint, right there. Pull that yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through another 2. We're going to chain 2 more, and we're going to do a double crochet into the stitch on the left side of the joint. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to chain 2 more and do a slip stitch into the first row on the left side of the joint, and that will be our first row of arm. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the second row from the joint. We're going to chain 2, and do a slip stitch into the corner stitch of the second row on the left side. We're going to chain 2 and then turn our work. We're going to do a double crochet into that corner stitch right there. We're going to chain another 2 and do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into that corner stitch there. Jeez. Alright, we're going to chain 2 and do a slip stitch into the corner stitch of the second row. So then we have completed our second row. We're going to move on to the third row. So we're going to chain up 2, do a slip stitch into that corner stitch of the third row. You're going to chain 2, turn our work, and do a double crochet right in that corner stitch. You're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. I'm going to chain 2, do a double crochet into that corner stitch. Chain 2 more and then do a slip stitch right into the corner stitch of the third row. So we have done 3 rows of arm work so far, and keep in mind that we are increasing as we go along each row. We're going into the 4th row now, and if you're making an extra small, this is where you will stop your increasing. You're going to chain 2, and we're going to put our slip stitch into the corner stitch of the 4th row. Chain 2, we're going to turn our work around and do a double crochet stitch right in that corner stitch. You're going to chain another 2 and do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch. Chain 2, and we're going to go right across just like how we did in the previous row. When you have completed this row and you're doing an extra small mesh top, you're going to stop here and wait for me because I'm making a large. I still have a few more rows to go. Alright, so we have completed 4 rows of mesh for the arm. We're going to move into the 5th row. If you're making a size small in this mesh cover up, the 5th row would be your last row of increase. Okay, so let's go. You're going to chain 2 and do a slip stitch into the corner stitch of the 5th row. We're going to chain 2, turn our work around, do a double crochet stitch into that corner stitch. We're going to chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, and we're going to do that right across. Y'all know the procedure. So we're moving into the 6th row, and the 6th row, you know what comes after small? Medium. So if you are making a medium, the 6th row will be your last row of increasing. So you're going to repeat that procedure just again. So I've completed my 6th row of increase. I am going into my last row of increase, which is row 7. I'm doing a large, so it would be 7 rows of increase. If you're doing an extra large, it would be 8 rows of increase. If you're doing an extra large, it would be 9 rows of increase. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna come back and do the following step after. Wait, now I have finished my 7 rows of increase. I will not be increasing anymore. If we have stopped at the 4th, the 5th, the 6th row, then this would be the next step. So we're going to chain 2 and do a slip stitch into the corner stitch of the following row. Right, we are going to chain another 2, turn our work around and do a double crochet into the first stitch away from the corner. So we're not going to be doing a double crochet stitch in the corner anymore. We're going to do it into the first double crochet stitch away from the corner. If you want to count it as a second, fine. We're going to chain 2 and do a double crochet stitch into the following double crochet stitch. We're going to repeat that step all the way across until we have gotten to the double crochet stitch, or I would say the first double crochet stitch away from the corner. So if you stop increasing at row 4, this would be your row 5. If you stopped increasing at row 5, this would be your row 6. If you stopped increasing at row 6, this would have been your row 7. So now we are at the first stitch away from the corner, or the last stitch before the corner. We are then going to chain 2 and just do a slip stitch right into the corner stitch. We're not going to do any more double crochets in the corner. We aren't increasing anymore, so there's no need for that. We're going to chain 2, we're going down into the next row, and we're going to do our slip stitch into the corner stitch, and we're going to repeat that process. Chain 2 and do a double crochet stitch right into the first stitch away from the corner. Now we're going to do that process right across until we have completed the row. So we're going to repeat this step until we have one row remaining. So if you stop increasing at row 4, row 5, or row 6, this is the step that we're going to repeat until we have one row left. Alright, so we're going to move into our last row, and this row will be done a tad bit differently. I'm going to show you guys. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to do a double crochet right in this stitch. It is the stitch where the double crochet meets the half double crochet. So that's the stitch we would go in first. Alright, we are going to chain 2. We're going to count 3, 1, 2, 3, and do a double crochet stitch right in that single crochet stitch. Chain 2, count 3, do a double crochet in that single crochet stitch. Chain 2, we're going to do a double crochet into the stitch where the half double crochet meets the double crochet. So we're going to chain 2 and do a double crochet into the top stitch of the last row right there. We're going to chain 2 and do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, like so. Chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, repeat the step, chain 2, repeat that step, chain 2, repeat the step. Alright, so we're going to join. We're going to chain 2 and do a slip stitch into the third chain, like so. Alright, so let's take a look at what we have done so far. We have chained from the shoulder to the underarm. So on next step now, we're going to chain from the underarm all the way down to below the elbow. We're going to repeat the step that we just did. We're going to chain 5, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, chain 2, do a double crochet into the following double crochet stitch, and we're going to do this all the way around until we are at the last double crochet stitch. And 2, double crochet. We're going to do our last 2 chains and do a slip stitch into the third chain. Alright, now we have completed our first 2 rows of underarm. I like to start counting from here. We're going to do 14 rows of this. You just repeat this step until we have 14. Okay, so when we have our 14 rows, we are going to start decreasing. We're going to start decreasing from the underarm to above wrist. We're going to repeat the same step that we have been doing for the past 14 rows. We're going to chain 5 and do a double crochet into the following stitch, chain 2, double crochet, and we're going to go all the way around until we are at the last double crochet. Then we will do something different there. So let's do that and come back. Alright, this is our last double crochet of this row. Now we are just going to do a slip stitch into the third chain, like so. We aren't going to chain 2, we're just going to go right into the slip stitch, and this is how we decrease. So in total we should have 5 rows of decreasing. So just continue repeating this step, doing a slip stitch at the end without chaining 2 for 5 rows, and then we'll come back and do the next step. did my 5 rows of the crease. I am now going to do one last row, but I will not be decreasing in this row. So I'm gonna repeat the same procedure, chain 5, double crochet into the following stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the following stitch, and I will continue that until I am at the last double crochet stitch. Alright, so I'm gonna chain 2 and do a slip stitch into the third chain. So this is basically a straight row, it's not a decreasing row. Let's move on to the border. We're going to chain up 3, do 2 double crochets into this space and 1 double crochet into the double crochet stitch. We're going to do 1 double crochet into the space, 1 double crochet into the double crochet stitch, 2 double crochets into the space, 1 double crochet into the double crochet stitch. You're going to go 1 double crochet into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, then 2 double crochets into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, 1 double crochet into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch. We're going to repeat this 2, then 1, then 1, then 1, then 2, then 1, then 1, then 1 until we have completed the full circle. When we have made our full circle and we're at the last stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch into our first chain of 3 stitch. We're gonna tighten it up and cut it off. Look at that, we have done our first arm. Now we're gonna repeat what we just did to the second arm, the other arm. We're gonna do it all over again. So after you've done the other arm, you're gonna get back to me so that we can do the border for the back to the neck, as well as the holes for the strings and the string. Okay, let's move on to our next step. We have done our 2 arms. Now we are going to turn our work over and we're going to start the border for the neck and the back sides. Alright, so what we're going to do, we are going to do some double crochets. That's the stitch we'll be using. We're going to put our hook in that last half double crochet stitch. We're going to pull our yarn through and chain up 3. we're going to do a double crochet into the following stitch, which is the top of the half double crochet stitch. It's also where we started our chain of 3, so we're going to do a double crochet right there. I'm also attempting to hide the strings as I do my double crochet, so I basically crochet over them. If you get that concept. So you're gonna do one double crochet into the space, then one double crochet into the stitch, that's the top of the chain of 3. We're going to move on to do 2 double crochet into the following space, then 1 double crochet into the stitch. We're going to do 1 double crochet into the space again, 1 double crochet into the stitch, 2 double crochets into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, 1 double crochet into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, 2 double crochets into the space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, and we're going to repeat this pattern until we have gotten to the joints, the shoulder joints. Alright, we're at the joints. We're going to put a double crochet into the right stitch on the joint, and then we're going to put another one into the left stitch on the joint. We're going to go back into our pattern now of chaining 1 in the space, 1 in the stitch, 2 in the space, 1 in the stitch. So we're going to do that going down the other back. Alright, once we have finished that, we're going to make our loops for the string. So what we're going to do is chain up 3, turn our work, count 3, 1 2 3, count 3 stitches, and do a single crochet stitch in the third stitch, followed by a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So you should have 3 single crochets. Chain up 3 again, and then count 3, single crochet into the third stitch, and single crochet into the following 2 stitches. Chain up 3, count 3 stitches, single crochet in the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Chain up 3, count 3 stitches, single crochet in the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Chain up 3, count 3 stitches, single crochet in the third, the fourth, and the fifth. Chain up 3, count 3 stitches, and do a slip stitch into the third stitch. We're gonna do another slip stitch, tighten it up, and then we are going to snip it off. In total you should have 6 loops, so count to make sure that there are 6 loops. After that, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to chain 3, count 3 stitches, do a single crochet into the third stitch, the fourth stitch, and the fifth stitch. Chain 3, count 3 stitches, do a single crochet in the third, the fourth, and the fifth stitch. Chain 3, count 3 stitches, do a single crochet into the third, fourth, and fifth stitch. Chain 3, count 3 stitches, do a single crochet into the third, the fourth, the fifth. Chain 3, count 3 stitches, do a single crochet into the third, the fourth, the fifth. And we're going to chain 3, count 3 stitches, and we are going to do a slip stitch, do another slip stitch just to secure it, and then cut it off with a scissors. Voila, that's a wrap for the mesh top. We have completed our mesh top. Well, not fully, we're going to do the fringes, but we're going to save that for last. We're moving on to do the strings for the mesh top. Let's make some strings. Well, one string. We're going to make the string for the mesh cover up top. It consists of 250 crochet chains. You're going to crochet 250 chains. When you're finished with your chains, ensure to make a knot, just like what I've done on either end, both ends, and just snip them off, snip off the excess yarn, and that's it.